Hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello, hello.
Hello.
We got three different time zones. We have New Zealand,
Yeah.
Germany, and India joining us. Wow, this is amazing. So,
Good
how are you
morning,
doing, Zach?
good
Johannes?
afternoon, and good evening. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Great to be on with you guys. It's been a while.
Yes. I'm seeing you after our podcast, right? Like Jonas, we recorded one, and before that we met in person at Reinvent 2022. Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, and I'm eager to see you guys soon again. I think it's like just
Yes.
3 months until 2.5 months until we meet again or
2.5
something
months.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super excited.
cool. Yeah, and excited for this session today, right? So
Yeah.
gonna be very interesting, I hope, for everyone listening.
Yeah. Who doesn't love DevOps, right?
Oh, that's an interesting
Absolutely.
starting point,
Yeah.
Zach. Let's talk about that.
Who loves DevOps? Nice.
Who
Okay.
loves DevOps?
Oh, well, let's rather decide about what DevOps actually is. Let's talk
Yes.
about that. So, because
Before that, I
everyone,
think that I think I know most of the our watchers they know who you are, but it's better to give about a brief who you are, where you're from, and what is your favorite food.
the favorite food, that's an interesting question. So, let's start with who I am. So, I'm Johannes. That's good enough. I'm a DevTools hero for AWS. That means that I'm very passionate about the DevTools that AWS offers. This used to be a big list. At the moment, it's a little bit unclear how big that is now that a few of the code services, especially, have been discontinued. I've been investing a lot of time in Code Catalyst over the past 2.5, 3 years. So I see myself as a Code Catalyst expert in the community. So if I have a question about that, just ask me. Besides that, I'm also kind of trying to make myself a name in the CI/CD space. So I do a lot of things around continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and those kind of things. Yeah, and I don't know if you have anything I should add, right? Favorite food, that's an interesting thing. Let me think about that. That's a hard one. Maybe give me some time.
Yeah. If
Maybe spaghetti would be,
oh,
pizza. And,
nice.
and and for my friends in Italy, yes, I like pineapple on pizza. I'm sorry, but I really like that.
To be honest, I love pineapple on pizza. Yeah. Hawaii pizza. That's one of my favorites. Yes.
Yeah, don't tell. There's a few people that would
Yeah.
want to kill me for that. Um, but but yes, I do like pineapple on pizza at least sometimes. Now my wife has decided we're not gonna do that anymore. Well, I sometimes need to go to AWS meetups or run my own AWS meetups to then have pineapple on pizza because that's the most common ordered food in our user groups here over at EMEA.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I've had
You were talking
pineapple
about
on
Code Catalyst,
pizza.
right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, pineapple and Code Catalyst. Yes.
yeah,
Let's
some
start
are
with the
things
pineapple.
together.
Yeah.
I was talking about Code Catalyst. Can talk a little bit about it as well. It's an integrated DevTool service for AWS with the idea of being able to cover all parts of your product lifecycle on AWS itself. It's a pretty powerful thing. But it still has, and after being, I think, in GA for 1.5 years, it still has a few things that I would expect to get. But yeah, let's see when and how do we get those added to the service.
Yes. And I remember you and me were at this session that they announced Code Catalyst at Reinvent, and we were super excited. And yeah, I still remember you were talking about, and I think you published the first blog about Code Catalyst. You
That is
preparing, and
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
true. Yeah, I'm
true, right?
also
Yeah.
kind of one of the only persons doing YouTube on the Code Catalyst. So if you want to get a head start, there's one of the videos that gives a 10-15 minutes introduction into the service. I don't think that we want to talk about this in this show today, right? So
Yeah.
I would let me get that link so we can put that into the
Yeah.
chat for people that are interested. Cool. So, what do we want to talk about today? So, I would love to define what DevOps is. I have an opinion, but I don't know what your opinion is. We want to start with that, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I would love
absolutely.
to hear what is your opinion. Yes.
But before doing that, let's say one thing for those listening today. This is not a technical session today. So, regardless in which part you are in the cloud, right? We're not going to do any technical stuff today. This is more a session where we actually want to talk a little bit about you, right? About you as a builder, about you as a person. We do have some slides that I wanted to run through, and we will do that in a second. But before we do that, let's look a little bit at definitions. So, Zach, tell me, what is DevOps for you?
DevOps for me is a culture and practice. I would say it's like for me it's like three things. One part is a culture and how we do things, and one is the practice, like path to production and so on. Like we can talk about like all the practice like automation and testing and those things. And last but not least comes the tools. We are talking about all these. Jenkins, Kubernetes, or whatever the tools. So that's what it's for DevOps. It's not a job role or it's not a person. It's more about the culture practice for me.
Cool. That's kind of in line with what I have in mind. But John's gonna ask you, as you're in Bangalore, I see a lot of people in my network and also in Bangalore trying to become a DevOps engineer. How do you personally see that? Is that something that is still common in the India on the India side? Or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it is common that a lot of folks want to be DevOps engineers. They look at it more as a job role, right, or a job function. But instead, it's more of a mindset, and it's more of the way how you practice things, not exactly a job role. But yeah, you do a lot of things in terms of automation, be it ensuring that your production pipelines are in place, you're following the right practices, you're using the right tools for the job. I mean, it doesn't have to be using all the tools. You're using the right tools is what is really necessary. But most of the times people get it wrong that, okay, I'm using XYZ tool. Am I a DevOps engineer? I follow this practice, so I am a DevOps engineer. But the whole mindset of it has to be changed, is what I feel.
Yeah, and this is kind of in line with what Zach already said, right? So for me, really, and this is also in line with the concept that I want that we have in the slides for today is the idea of DevOps being a team's effort, DevOps being a mentality, DevOps being, as Zach said, a mindset of how people work together, regardless of where they are in the organization and regardless of the experiences that they have. As I said, not technical today, focused on you as a person, right? So that is, I think, for me, a very important thing. With that, let's try to look a little bit into a few beautiful pictures. And I think it should already be on the screen. No, there we are. Tell me, Jones, what do you see?
I see the last image first. It's about a gaming console, if I'm not wrong. And I see American football or rugby there.
Okay. Zach, what do you see?
But
I think I get the gist of the images. Like first one is like the climbing, which means like it's something you keep doing it like raising the bar. And second one is like announcement. Third one is team player, and for the fourth one, the goalkeeper means like security, I would say. And the skateboard is like taking risks. And I mean like break fast, fix fast, and the last one I have no idea.
The last one is Jones a few years ago doing gaming, I guess. Did you do gaming, Jones? A little bit?
yes. But I guess Zach does a lot more of gaming.
Okay, well, it's interesting. Yes, that's what you can see in these pictures, but I see a little bit more. If you look at the individuals that are presented here, what is what they kind of could be, right? So let's start with the one where maybe it's the best, it's the easiest way to see. I don't know how much you know about American football, but American football teams have a lot of different kind of teams that do things together, and every team has a special person. And this is in this picture, this is the guy in the middle, right? It's the guy that is called the kicker, right? And he has this special skill. He does nothing else usually the whole season to practice for the best kick ever, because he only gets maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 5 chances per game to actually do and use the skill. So his secret skill is kicking, right? And the others, yes, they are teammates, but he's the guy that solves this one problem. The guy on down right, he might be really good gamer. He has this skill to be the best one somewhere and in a game. The lady in the middle that does that announcement, right? She has the courage to stand up in front of a lot of other people and speak up and do some things. That's also a skill, right? And that's how I look at these pictures. All of these individuals that we have here have specific skills and have specific pieces of capabilities that others might not have. And I think this is what at least I'm trying to bring across in these pictures. Now, if we look at people, right, we are all different and we all have different skills. Now, in our modern cloud development world, or our modern cloud software development or software systems that we build, we need to acknowledge that this is really complex, right? So on the slide we see we have front end, we have back end, we have some other stuff, and that all kind of fits together, or maybe it doesn't, right? So I don't know, Zach, are you more on the front end or more on the back end side?
I'm a platform engineer, so I would say, I don't do development, but more into platform, and I do platform development, mainly Kubernetes.
So that kind of means you're on the other stuff piece, and you're on the orange question marks, right? That might be 100 things that we can add over there. Jones, where are you these days? I know that you talk a lot, but
apart from talk, I'm more of this full stack engineer. I do things on the front end and back end.
But you have something that you're really good at, something that you started with at the end, right? What was that?
So, serverless is something that I love to do and kind of my expertise. But I've played around with containers. I did start my journey with server-based architecture. So, in terms of managing servers, all of those things. And I later transitioned with serverless, then did front-end work, and now as a developer advocate, and we have a platform. So I build on top of the platform. It's basically building full stack.
Cool. So that kind of means that you have now a skill that maybe others don't have, because you know how to build on top of your platform. But traditionally, if you look at how software systems kind of are combined today, for the front end, you need to know different things. You need to know how to build UI, maybe HTML, or maybe React, or maybe any other kind of language that you need to do for that. But you also need to have people that are good at UX. How do people navigate in the user interface and in the software? That's also a different skill that you need for that. Something that is commonly a problem is how do I manage certificates and talking back to the backend? How do I manage credentials? How do I manage permissions and how to access the backend? And how do I manage that in the application flow on the front-end side? So those are all skills, and there are hundreds of millions of more skills that you need in order to build good software systems. From the backend perspective, well, we already mentioned there might be someone with a good Kubernetes skill. Someone is good at compute. Someone knows how to set up the network. Potentially, Jones, that's something you don't really interact with these days because your platform takes that away, right? Because Zach manages the network layer for your platform, or someone else. I'm just using you here as an example. But the idea here of this message of this slide is to make ourselves aware how complex systems are today, right? And there's not just front end and back end. There's a lot of supporting stuff that needs to work around building that full stack, that serverless application that Jones is mentioning. If you're in a big organization, you might need to adhere to ITSM processes. You might want to have security team watching what you're building and then ensuring that what you're building is kind of in line with what happens. You need to have people doing the support pieces of it, so interacting with your clients. And obviously, well, you also need the dev roles that sell the platform, like Jones is doing that job at the moment. And I think that's really important that we start to acknowledge that in today's world, it's not easy anymore, right? It's not like things fall together. It's not like everyone is happy the whole time, right? There's a lot of things that you need to know. And this is what I essentially want to talk about a little bit in the next few minutes. There's no chance that we can all grasp everything at the same time. I would see myself, officially in my organization, I work for FICO, which is a US-based organization. I'm an infrastructure architect, so I'm part of a technical architecture team that is responsible for giving the architecture for our global platform that we are building. So at the end, I'm kind of sitting on top of that platform engineering thing, and I'm currently working with a lot of teams to get platform engineering into the infrastructure mindset that we're building. But I wouldn't say that I understand everything that we're doing. And I think that's really important. We need to acknowledge that. Let me pause here to see any questions so far before we kind of move into the essence of
the next
Zach,
one.
Go ahead,
Yeah, I can sense whatever. I can already sense what you are going to view next. So let's see. I'm super excited. And I really like how you explain those 6 images. Like the perspective is really different, and that's super cool, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love the fact about how you brought in every individual in the team owns a skill, and which is very crucial for the team, right? As a collective effort, and also in terms of bringing out that structure in the team where you tell, okay, as a front-end engineer, as a back-end engineer, or be it as a platform engineer, there are different responsibilities that you own, and this is exactly where you take up different parts of the software development process and build it out. So I really love that way how you brought it out.
And I think
And
this is really... Go ahead. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
No, it's all right. I mean, as a platform engineer, currently I'm in a platform team, so I know exactly like how it's hard to like manage enterprise level application. It's not easy. Definitely, I agree with you. Like what you mentioned, like the expertise, like you had to find the right person, and you had to expert on that several domains. Like if you have like multiple pods.
Yeah, and I think it's really, that's the key thing that I wanted to talk with you guys about today and with everyone listening. So if you could bring up the screen again, as I somehow don't have the permissions in StreamYard, right? You will see that this session today should really be about you, right? About Zach, about anyone listening to this one, right? It's really about thinking about how can you make a difference, and we're gonna look a little bit into that. And I hope that at the end of the session, you go away with, this is what I will now be doing as Johannes, as Jones, as how do I kind of move? And that brings us back to what skills are, right? So I tried something that is very uncommon in 2024. I went to Wikipedia. I did not go to ChatGPT or all of that Gen AI things, right? Because I wanted a human to write what a skill is. And I think for me, the key thing here really is that it's nothing that you get born with. It's something that you can learn. It's something that you can get good at, right? It's nothing like, okay, I'm a good talker. That is a skill as well. But it's nothing that you can really learn. You can practice and try to get better at it. And you might become a perfect public speaker if you practice a lot. But I think of it like, okay, it's a native thing that is in myself. However, how do I deploy a Kubernetes cluster, and what are the nodes group that I need to have below that? That's a skill that I can learn, right? How do I manage serverless applications? That's a skill that I can learn, and I think it's important to have that in mind. When preparing, I looked at Google. Yes, not ChatGPT. I looked at Google. What are the required skills for IT? And it came up with a few things. Now, as we are doing this in a little bit of an interactive mode, please pick the skill that you think have best out of this list. Jones, maybe you can go first.
But probably programming has one of the crucial thing. Although in today's world you don't need programming for everything, but that's a really good skill to have. And coming from that developer background, yes, that's my first take.
So that's your best skill out of those?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm trying to
go ahead.
Go between cloud computing and DevOps. I'm sorry, I will go with cloud computing. Yeah.
And that's totally fine, right? It's really just about thinking about, yes, there is hundreds of skills that you need to be successful at the end in IT today. And that's important, right? Acknowledge that. You cannot have all of those. I personally think I'm really bad at networking. I was very good at SQL in the past, right? But I haven't done SQL for a while, so I kind of lost that skill. So if you think of how people organize their skills, there is a model that I would like to use to explain a little bit what I want to get to. And this is something that we call the T-shaped model. And this means that if you look at the person, if you look at Johannes, I have some skills that I'm good at. This is where I really have a real depth of knowledge, where I can really see, like, okay, I'm really, really good at, oh my God, this is really difficult. I don't know what I'm really good at, to be honest. But I have a very broad set of skills that I know that I can talk about, right? And I know a lot about AWS architecture. I know a lot about AWS services. I know a lot about CI/CD. I know a lot about people and talking to people. But that's not maybe the perfect skill that I have. Maybe my perfect skill is, I bring people together, right? So the message is, you need to have one or maybe two skills that you are really, really good at, that is your expertise. This needs to be something that you really love. This needs to be something that you have experience with. This needs to be something that makes you as a person unique in a team. At the same time, and this is kind of the step thing, because before we go into the base knowledge skills, how important they are, at least for this model. Now, going away from the skills in IT that we looked at before, Zach, tell me, what's your secret skill? What's the secret thing, or the thing that makes you important for your teammates?
I can troubleshoot and find the root causes very fast, so I can help my teammates, I would say. That's what, I mean, I would say Googling also one of the skills, right? Like, finding the right answer and the right best thing. Like, so I can fix issues very fast, I would say.
Okay, makes sense. Jones, what about you?
Solutioning. I mean, you give me a problem statement, I could come up with a solution for things. So I would pick that, and also communication and bringing the team together, kind.
Okay, that makes sense. So why is it important? Why do you think it is important to have a base set of skills that you're also kind of good with? So why this T? What's your thought about that?
There's a saying called as "be the master in one and jack of all or some." So when you're good at something, right, you bring that special skill to the table, and that's really good for the team and for the job to be done. But you also need other skills to progress in your career, right? So this is exactly where having a knowledge about certain other skills, It may not be in depth, but at least on the surface of things, you do know, okay, this is something that I can manage. There's something that I do know a little about. It plays an important role in your career, because yeah, you tend to take up a lot of challenges in your career path, right? And especially then, just the depth knowledge in one specific skill would not be sufficient. And yeah.
So I agree. Now, my question, Zach, to you is what kind of broad skills do you think that we're talking about?
You mean the previous answer I gave you related to that, or?
Well, let's look at your role as a platform engineer, right?
Yeah.
What is, so you just said you're the thing that you're good is triaging and troubleshooting.
Yeah.
But in order to do triaging and troubleshooting very well, what are the other things that you need to know to be able to do that?
Yeah, it's a vast area, because if you're talking about AWS cloud, I should know networking, security, monitoring and observability, and Linux, all the Linux commands, most of things, kubectl commands.
That's
And
that's true. That's true.
It's a huge bucket. It's a vast area.
Yeah, but let's see. You have been triaging on a call with the team, and well, not with the team, but with a few people, and you kind of got to the situation where you now know that this might be a networking related thing.
Yeah.
I assume that there's going to be a point when you give up on that. So when your networking skill kind of is not good enough anymore, or maybe that doesn't happen, right? But if it happens, let's try to say it would happen that you reach a point where your networking skill is not good enough. What do you do?
What I do, if it's a major thing, I will page, or call the on-call person, or the next person from the networking pod or networking team, and hand over that work to them. I mean, get them into the call and get together and giving the brief about what's going on, and getting his brain, her or she, their brain to involved in this, because it's their knowledge. I mean, their brain, like, into the networking areas. That's my level.
That's the essence where I want to go to at the end, right?
Okay.
You call another expert at the end. You ask someone that has a different skill than you. So now, talking about this, and I have a few more slides with some action plan as well for the audience. Should we all aim to develop our skills to look like that? So should we try to get experts in all skills and to kind of get to that, not tea anymore, but to that black thing? What do you think? Have you ever tried that? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that one.
I would say then it will end up like, kids, they used to eat this apple, like one bite from each apple, and there will be multiple piece of apple. Something like that. And it's like, partially completed Udemy courses. Yeah. So I think, I don't want to do that, to be honest. Like, it's too vast.
Yeah, and practically it's not possible, because you don't have an end to skills, right? And also, as a human, you don't want to be overwhelmed with a lot of things, and expert in one kind of sets you as, okay, like, for example, me, right? I talk about serverless, and serverless is one of the expertise that I am in. And somebody was struggling with serverless, they'll be like, okay, Jones is the person that I may have to go to. And for Johannes, you are an expert with CI/CD pipelines, right? And if somebody's struggling with CI/CD, they do know that, okay, Johannes is the person to go to. So being that expert in that one niche sets you as more of a expert, rather than, okay, this person knows everything, and when you go to them, it's chaotic in the mind. I mean, back in the day when I was doing my education and stuff, I wanted to be the person in the block. But yeah, it's practically impossible.
Yeah, I think that's what I see as well. I tried to be there, to be honest, in my career. I tried to reach a lot of skills in a lot of areas. And I reached a point when I was not able to cope with it anymore, right? So that's when I kind of said, that's too much for me. I was working like 70, 80 hours at that time. I was the block for certain areas and aspects of the business that I was part of. And I just kind of gave up on a day, right? And I think that's why I want to get it a little bit more into our engineers, right? That this is not really what we're looking for, right? In DevOps, you have a DevOps team. In that DevOps team, every engineer has specialties, has T-shaped skills. They are good at something. Ideally, you want to get your team to be a perfect combination of T-shaped engineers that get you to that black box, right? So this might be very difficult.
I guess Johannes.
Did we lose? Yeah.
Yeah.
Johannes? Till back. It's super interesting and interactive. I really enjoy it.
I really hope he comes back and we resume at the place where we lost him. But yeah, okay. To keep the conversation going, Zach,
Yeah.
what is that one challenge that you see to be in that T-shaped model? I don't know if Johannes wanted to talk about this, but yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost Johannes. He will be joining us very soon. It's all right. Things can happen, and it happened to me at even AWS Sydney Summit. The recorded demo didn't work, so what else can happen? Yeah. Yes, the challenge, right? I would say the willpower. Willpower is the thing. Like, I'll give you a good example. Since we're not talking about technical thing, like, I was like really obese, and I had to lose like 30 kilos. I did. So the willpower is like, to get it done. It's not easy, right? So that's something like that. Oh, Johannes is back. So
Johannes is back. Yeah. Okay, did we lose him again?
maybe it's internet.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Yes. So answer is willpower. If you want to do it, you can do it. So I did it. If when someone says lazy, no, you can do it. For the health, definitely. Yeah. And yeah, I was in a very, very bad health situation. It's like that. And other thing is focusing on something to get it done.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
No problem, Johannes. Okay. Looks like
Let's try
a little
again.
sketchy internet. Oh yeah, you're back on.
Okay, you're back on.
Let's try again. So I don't know where you guys left off, but my internet died, which is in a live show always.
We were
pretty
talking
funny.
about challenges.
That's good. Challenges is always a good point. I think challenges can also only be solved as a team, right? And I think the main message here really is that if you talk about what a DevOps team is, you really want to be able to get the engineers together to be that black bar that we talked about earlier. So you need to identify those people that can work together very well to cover all of the domain knowledge and all of the domain skills that you need for your team's success. And that's one of the things that we all need to kind of start thinking about, right? We're going to do a very brief dive into team compositions, right? So traditionally, if you had a team composition that was consisting out of 5 people, right, that had certain skills, you always had that manager that was responsible for making sure that these people work together. You also, as a manager, were responsible to putting in the right specialists into the team at the right place and time. It also means that if the internet of Johannes dies, and Johannes is the one with the yellow skill, the team cannot make progress if there's a problem in that yellow skills thing, right? And that's essentially the assets of thinking about how we can combine teams in a little bit of a different way, right? By combining T-shaped engineers, right, we can still get all skills with a very massive kind of presence in the team, maybe with having less people, right? Because we can combine the skills of the different presenters and the different people. And if you look at if you look at this from the perspective of being able to triage issues, right? On the right hand side, the person that has the
Oops.
out of 5.
Okay.
Am I still there?
Yeah, we lost you in the middle, but yeah.
The person with the teal and the purple skills is able to triage 2 out of 5 different problems, right? And that's better than not being able to triage all of them. And he only needs help if he reaches that red piece, because that's where he doesn't have any skills. So that's the idea of composing teams in a way that they can work teams, where we had developers, testers, infrastructure experts, and support team members, right? Then we were able to change that to combine specialists. This was the first wave of DevOps, I would call it. At least that's the way that I see it, where we had DevOps teams consisting of certain specialists. So we put Dev and Ops together, right? And now in that last approach that we see here, right, we would be now combining T-shaped people, which would then make the team as a whole stronger, right? And I think that's important, that we think about how can we reach that for our team. Before I move over to the next part of what I had prepared, any questions or comments on team composition? Maybe how are your teams structured, Zach, especially from a platform engineering standpoint in your organization? Which model do you follow?
So we have multiple, I would say, pods like networks. Even the compute we have like Kubernetes, EC2, like that. And I would say we have a lot of multi-skill DevOps people like the team model, and we experts on something like, even inside the team we have expertise on special like Kubernetes experts, and then we need some, even the Kubernetes side, we need some CI/CD, like so for example, X person may be coming from the CI/CD team before. They're bringing all the experience, so the shifting between teams. So I would say the last row. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Jones, what about you?
Okay, so in the developer relations team that I'm currently at, we are more of a multi-skilled DevOps team. Each of us have different skills that we bring on, but the extended engineering team that we are part of is basically a T-shaped model where each engineer comes with multiple skills, and they have their own expertise, but they also come with multiple skills.
Okay, so you're then both experts to talk with me about the next slide. Have you ever heard about the key-shaped model? What the hell is that?
Well, it's the first time that I'm hearing, but
Yes.
from the image, I see that
Yes.
it's something that I'm familiar with, but the term itself is something that I'm hearing for the very first time.
Yeah, and I think
How many surprises you have today?
Oh, I think that's it for today. So I think the idea here really is, okay, you might have more than one skill. So you should not limit yourself to one specialty at the end. You will always have things that you like doing. As I said, one of my skills is bringing people together. Another skill that I have is talking, at least I hope. Another skill that I have is explaining technical things in a simple way, right? Those are 3 different skills. But I'm also very good at triaging. I'm also very good at, and the team that I'm currently working with has felt that over the past few days, at putting pressure on people, right? That's also one of the skills that I have. So I do have more than one skill that I personally think I'm good with. And I think that's what you also should have, right? Or that's what you most probably will also have. And that's the call for action that I have for you guys today, right? Not for the 2 of you only, but for anyone listening as well, as right. Start with identifying what your skills are. Think about what are you really good at. Think about what you really love to do and what you enjoy to do most. And then there's the last piece. what do people ask you about? So let's say let's go with Zach again. If you look at your team, what are you being asked about most frequently by the team members to assist or to help with? And you're on mute.
I mean, I'm pretty new to the team, like not even 2 years now. So I go and ask. It's more about, I would say, more the context, the how we have done things, and where to find things, something like that. Yeah.
Jones, what about you?
Yeah, so as a developer advocate professional, you really have to be good with the platform or the product that you're with, right? So most of the times, engineers who built it reach out to us saying that, hey, how does this thing really work, and or how do you use this thing? So most often it's about the how-tos and where do I use the specific feature or the platform itself, right? So mostly these when I talk about work.
Yeah, cool. And so for me, it is people asking me in my organization, how do I move this ahead? So doesn't matter what kind of thing it is, but people reach out to me and ask me, Johannes, how do I get this move? Who do I need to talk to? Right. And then one of the skills that I didn't think it is one of the skills that I have is knowing who knows what. That's an important skill as well, right? So I know where to send people to make progress in the challenge that they are facing. And that's a skill I never thought that it would be my skill, but I noticed that by thinking about that. Now, as a next thing is, I would want to ask you, what is what you're really bad at? So what is what you don't like doing? So for me, it's writing YAML. I really, really hate that. Maybe you have something like that. I will not put you on the spot, Zach and Jones, to answer that. If you want to go ahead, Zach, tell me.
Yes, my weakest point is, like, I'm very hesitant to say no. I should improve that one. Like, I can't basically, if someone else says something, I really, really can't say no. So that's something I would love to improve always. Yeah, I would say that.
Cool. Then let's go with that. I'm not gonna put Jones on the spot. Now, Zach, next thing for you. Look at someone that is really good at saying no. Who's the best person to say no in your team?
Yes,
Even
I
if
must
it's your
think
wife.
about that. Yeah.
Find that person.
She's the best person. Yes. I hope she's watching it.
So
Yes.
let's say the message is identify your best skills, identify your weakness and the skills that you're bad with. And if you know your weaknesses, now identify someone, ideally in your team or close to you in your team, that is really good at the things that you're bad at. Partner with that person. Talk about this challenge and this problem. After you have found that person that is good at what you are bad at, right? I would encourage you to start talking to your team. Start talking to team leads, to your manager, to the stakeholders of your team. Start talking about that problem that you have. Like, this is what I'm bad at. This is what he is good at. Can we partner together? Can we work together more often? And maybe through that exercise, you might be able to put a spotlight at things that your team as a whole is missing. So engage with your team and collaborate with your team to identify how your team can become better at the end. Once you get to that point and you have that open conversation with your team, you have already made a huge step towards being a true DevOps team. As a next step, you will then identify that there are things that you still don't have in the team that you need. So now decide for one new skill to grow, not for 5. Decide for one thing that you're going to pick up to go from that T shape that we talked about to that key shape where you have multiple specialties. And you just start investing into that. And that will level up you as a person, but at the same time, obviously level up your team, right? And
Yes, that's really
could be anything, which is why I use this Lego to say it doesn't matter what kind of skill. And to sum up, and with that, I kind of finished the stuff that I had prepared from a content perspective. Like, this is what I want all of you to do. Identify your main skills, identify the weaknesses, find a partner in your team that really kind of can compensate for your weakness thing. Then talk with the rest of the team and then identify a new skill. Don't try to learn new skills right now. Yeah. First, identify what you need to do to level up your team. And I think with that, at least I end my content. Happy to chat about that. What's your thoughts, Zach and Jones? How do you want to? How do you address these kind of things in your team? Maybe you have some experiences to share with the audience as well.
Yeah. I mean, I really love the approach, and that's one of the approaches even that I follow. What's something that you're good at? What's something that you're bad at? And collaborating and finding that person who fits that piece in you, right? When you're bad at something, you do need somebody who's really good at that to help you out and hone that skills, right? So even in my previous role as in a startup in Bangalore, uh, I started leading a team of backend engineers, and then I later transitioned as cloud architect. So one key challenge that I always had was how do I uh, how do I go about with the team, right? And it's not just about the team itself, even me as an individual, because there are multiple such people who are really good at something, and there are some folks who miss a couple of things, and you need to get that balance right in perspective of a team, where you for the success of the team, you have to ensure that okay, there's a good balance of folks who know all things to keep the ball rolling. And it's really important to identify even the teammates good and bad, I mean the strength and the weakness, and also your own strength and weakness.
Zach, maybe you have an experience where you used a similar thing to share with us.
Oh yeah.
And now I think we Zach.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will share something that happened in Singapore. So we are talking about skills, right? So one of these project I was working with, and we needed someone like security engineer, right? And it's a startup, and a startup you cannot have these multiple ports because it's startup. I mean, but again, security is a one of the highest pillar. I know security, but as by my understanding, and when I assess myself, yes, Zach, you need to learn more in AWS security is like vast. So what I did, I spent a couple of months to learn that skill. Not months, sorry, weeks actually. um, I did my first specialized security specialist certificate, I would say Amazon. So I learned, it's really interesting. Gladly, my flatmate was a security engineer, and he's not cloud based by that time. So what I did, I used his skills when I when I have some questions, I map it his examples and ideas. I try to improve my knowledge, and I passed the exam. To be honest, like it was one of the toughest one, but yes. But what I'm trying to explain, if you don't know, you have to self-assess yourself and ask yourself, you really know this or you really don't know. I mean, you can assess yourself, right? From if you get like 10 points, you can go up to 6 5, or I won't say 10 out of 10 anybody can get it. So I asked myself, yes, then I realized, okay, I have to learn it. And I never hesitate to ask question. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If I want to learn something, I will go and ask. Yeah, I would say you should ask if you want to learn. So that's how I improve my skills. So that is one of the examples I would say. It could be a very dumbest one, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. So, as I said, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of engineers do these days is they always believe that they need to know everything and be the star. And I've been working a lot with people from India, or sometimes And I don't know, Jones, what your thought about that is from a culture perspective, right? I've been seeing teams that are not successful because there's individuals that put themselves in front of the team, and that has been challenging for me. So maybe you have some advice on how I can deal with these challenges better, right? And as an example for that is, we had a very, very skilled engineer. He was with us for a year potentially. I was investing a lot into that person, wanting to grow him and giving him a chance. And he decided, oh no, I need to go somewhere else because I earn like 25% more or something like that. So how does this kind of work together with investing in a team? What's your thought around that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the compensation part of it is really a hard and tricky one. But I've seen this as a cultural thing in India, right? Where people always think, okay, I need to be that one star. And when they become that star, when you help them become that star, right? Help them grow to be where they want, they move out. And this is one challenge that I found even in my previous role, because most of the engineers that I worked with and whom I helped to get to a point where I could offload a lot of things, right? Like as you're leading a team, we would eventually want to offload certain things, give the rest of the team different responsibilities, and you get them, you mentor them to come to that point, and you think of okay, I'm gonna offload this complete responsibility to XYZ engineer, but eventually you'll hear from them, no, I'm planning to move out. It as a team leader or anybody such, it's disheartening, but yeah, the motivation is mostly around uh, compensation or different challenges per se, right?
Yeah, and
You
I think the main point here for me is that this, what we talked about, creating a team that has this square type of skills. This is not a 2 week thing. This is not a 2 month thing. This is not a half a year thing, right? Until you get your team to be 100% efficient and to be a true DevOps team, you need time, you need a dedicated area of investment, right? And I would guess half a year is way too short. You need at least a year to identify how that perfect team composition is at the end. Now, we talked a lot about technical skills. What we didn't really talk about, and this is also important, is personalities. So the three of us might get along very well, but there is other people that I don't get along very well. I would not be efficient in working together with them if you would kind of put me together in a team. And now you tell me, okay, you have all of those different skills that we need. We have like 10 skills, and you together can fill out that box. And I put you in a team, and I'm now expecting you to be efficient as a team. I might not like Jones, right? And because of that, even if he has a skill that I need, I will not want to work together with him. That personality component of building DevOps teams, I think it's an art, right? And it's that's the main skill from my perspective that team leads or managers need today. Identify which are the skills that I need and which are the personalities that I need, and how do I bring them together to form a perfect team.
I have seen that it's a good point you mentioned. I have seen a lot of experts, like, I would say like nerds type people, but they are really good, maybe good at like what are the technical stuff, but the soft skills are really, really, I would say, weak. And maybe the attitude could be, I mean, the how they communicate. Maybe they are like less communicate, or trying to. They don't like to work as a team, maybe like work as individual person. So yeah, I have noticed something like in here, in especially New Zealand, like in the interview process, they have something like behavioral interviews, right? The team leads, they do. Even I have also been through like that. I think you can't cheat or lie on that behavioral interview, the question they ask, right? Definitely it's very psychological. and you can't fake the personality like Johannes mentioning. So I think that's a really, really important key point. You can be you can have all the 12 or 13 AWS certificates, but if you can't work as a good team member, then I would say there's a big question mark there.
Yep. That is true. So
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's we need to get this message a little bit more out into a lot of parts of the area, right? And Jones, I was asking about India because I know that you are from India, and I know that you work a lot with the Indian community as well. But we have the same challenge in other parts of the world, right? So it's not like an Indian culture thing. Always, if you put in the team first, then you're going to be successful, right? And for me, a very good example of that is the Booster Club for the AWS community in Germany. And you guys know that I'm part of that. We're organizing a community day in Munich pretty soon, right? We don't care about who's the one doing stuff. We are happy if we as a team succeed, right? And I think that's what you guys also see in all of the community efforts that you're invested in, right? And I think that's why we get along that well, right? Because that's what we try to achieve for the community, not for ourselves, right? But making sure that others can grow and can build on top of what we actually do.
Man,
that's
being
really
part
message.
Exactly. The whole point of being in a community, and you get this like-minded folks, right? And when like-minded folks, like the three of us, right, like-minded, we get together, it's easy to catch up on things. And when the intent is also same, I mean, all of us are community leaders in our respective regions, right? And we do have a few of our peers in our regions who come along with us, and we run community days, we run serverless days. So the whole intent there is, when we come together, we want to ensure that, okay, people, end of the day, they are learning something new. They're hearing about, okay, what's really happening in the tech world. So the whole intent is what brings people together, and this is exactly where personalities come into picture, because unless if everyone is of the same intent, it's not going to be successful. So
yeah, that is true. Cool.
Nice. It was really, really nice to have you having you with us, Johannes. I think first time we did something very, I would say, non-technical, and personally, it opened me a lot of things. Like I was listening to you in very depth, and I was kind of imagining my team model inside my mind, and trying to figure it out. Okay, I have to deep think about this and ask myself those questions. And I hope to send you some messages later. Give me a couple of weeks. Like I will go through, and definitely I'll let you know what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Go ahead, right? And if anyone else on the show today has follow-up questions, the best way to reach me is usually to use LinkedIn. That's the way that I kind of try to interact at the moment. I also use a lot of other socials, but it kind of sometimes gets lost. So let me put that here in the chat. I cannot put that into the chat.
I'm getting your profile, Johannes.
I can put that over here. Would love to connect with all of you and also learn from the experiences that you kind of gain, right, as going through this model. So would love to chat about this at reInvent if you are attending, tell me what you think and what works for you, because I'm sometimes still trying to figure out what the right way to do these kind of things is. So we are all learning, and we need to continue learning every single day. I think that's really important.
Awesome. I mean, that was really an amazing session, Johannes. A lot about team composition and personality in terms of, personal skill development and all these things. Because as an engineer, you tend to neglect a lot of these things, right? And thanks for coming in on our show and talking about it, because this is something very important.
It is. Cool.
Cool.
Thanks for having me. Would love to keep in contact. And yeah, if anyone has comments, questions, feel free.
Yeah.
Either now in the chat or then afterwards on LinkedIn. And
yes, let us know. And hope to see you soon at reInvent, Johannes.
yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes.
See you in like 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Countdown has begun.
Yes, that's true.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Cool. Okay, then. Have a good day for you, Johannes and Zach. I think it's almost bedtime for me. Then I'll see you all soon in another session.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye. Have a good one.